Well, welcome everybody. So happy to be with you. I see 304 devices are connected. I'm also guessing that there's a number of schools or high schools that have multiple teachers on one device. So we probably have more than 309 people here right now. My name is Mary Scholl, and I'm the executive director at the Institute for Collaborative Learning, formerly known as Centro Espiral Mana, for those of you that know us. And I'm super happy to be with you today to share this Igniting and Assessing Students' Oral Production in English class. This webinar is designed and delivered by myself and Yvonne Suazo from the Institute for Collaborative Learning. And we designed it in collaboration with the national advisors. So we appreciate the support that we've gotten from all of them. And with the support, this webinar and this webinar series is supported by the U.S. Embassy in San Jose. So we're really grateful to them for that. We're going to start out today with a few words of welcome from the Cultural Affairs Officer from the U.S. Embassy. Her name is Elizabeth Smith.
Hola a todos. My name is Elizabeth Smith, and I'm the Cultural Affairs Officer here at the U.S. Embassy in Costa Rica. I'm delighted to welcome you to this series of webinars made possible through the dedicated efforts of the experienced educators at the Institute for Collaborative Learning, the Ministry of Public Education, and the U.S. Embassy. Teaching English is both a rewarding and challenging task, requiring continuous growth, adaptation, and learning. These webinars will serve as a valuable platform to expand your knowledge, exchange ideas, and explore new, innovative methodologies. Together, you will reach new levels in your teaching practice and inspire your students to excel in English. I encourage you all to actively engage, to participate wholeheartedly, and to share your own experiences and perspectives. By collaborating with one another, you can build a vibrant network of English teachers in Costa Rica, united by a common goal to inspire your students and shape their futures through the power of language. I cannot thank you enough for your hard work and dedication to your profession. On behalf of the U.S. Embassy in Costa Rica, I welcome you again, and may this series of webinars be a productive and interesting experience for you. Buena suerte en su proceso de aprendizaje. Adelante.
Much gratitude to Elizabeth, and I hope that you all feel how important you are to her. I really do. The U.S. Embassy has been big supporters of English language learning over the years here in Costa Rica, and Elizabeth has also been a big supporter of us. So that's great. I'm going to see if Alfredo's here. That's our next person to welcome us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Buenas tardes.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, dear teachers. Dear Mary, Camille, Marianela, Andrea, Ivan. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon, enjoying this series of webinars. I really want to thank the U.S. Embassy and my fellow workers, Marianela Granados, Camille, Andrea, and of course, my dear Mary and Ivan for making all this possible. I do hope that you teachers, principals, and all, the people in high schools in charge of, English language teaching and learning can take advantage of these beautiful opportunities given by the U.S. Embassy in coordination with the Institute for Collaborative Learning. Thank you so much for this huge effort, dear colleagues. I do hope that you enjoyed all these learning opportunities. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we'd love to hear from Marianela Granados Diaz and Andrea Cruz, our national advisors.
Okay, thank you, Mary, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome all teachers from different regions, and I'm going to say the regions that we have today. We have 11 regions in the webinar. We have people from Nicoya, we have people from Santa Cruz, Liberia, Cañas, Norte. We also have teachers from Limón, San Carlos, Sarapiquí, Sula, Cartago y Guapiles. So we have a lot of teachers today, and we feel really, really happy to have you here in this webinar. We feel so happy to have the opportunity to have this webinar. So thank you, Mary and Ivan, for your efforts and for making this webinar possible for the teachers. And I want to welcome also the regional advisors that are here in the webinar too. And I know that you are going to learn a lot in this time. We are going to learn, and you have to put into practice, and also we motivate you to participate. It's very important to participate. And at the end of this webinar, you will have a lot of ideas and techniques to teach oral production in classrooms. So welcome. Nela?
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to see all the regions, all the names. We have around 382 teachers. My God, many people here. Wonderful. So we are very happy to see that number of teachers in high schools. So guys, we hope that you can enjoy the webinar, that you can have a very engaged participation. That would be wonderful if you can really engage and participate. Mary needs support in some activities, so it would be wonderful to have many volunteers to help Mary. We hope that you can really enjoy the webinar. We have prepared this carefully, trying to answer to your needs. So we hope that you can really, really take the best of it. So great. I hope you have a good webinar and enjoy this afternoon. I have to share something. We have been working on a paper. Let me see if I can share it. And that very soon will be in your hands. We worked together as a team with the French advisors, creating this document that it talks a little bit about oral production, how to teach spoken interaction, spoken production, some ideas, strategies, things that can be very useful to you. So guys, very soon you will get it. Okay, but also we have surprises. Okay, one of them is Camille, but she will let you know later. She will tell you later about all the surprises we have for you. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And okay, so the next person can go on. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Andrea and Marianela and Alfredo. Camille, would you like to just say a brief hello?
Yes, let me unmute. Hello to everybody, welcome, and I'm so honored to be here. My name is Camille Campbell, and I have the privilege of being here for 1 year as a volunteer with an international organization called the Peace Corps. And so my role here is to support your national English advisors as they are supporting you in the important work that you do in the classrooms. So I really am honored to be here today and respect you guys for the work that you are doing in continuing education and professional development. And happy Friday.
Thanks so much, Camille. Appreciate that. Yvonne, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, 11 regions. Hello, regional advisors, principals, and teachers. Thank you for joining today. We're so happy to have you. We have resources and ideas, practices, and tasks that we might be implementing in our own classroom from teaching context. And thank you for joining today. And one of my roles today is to support you. So in case you have any question or any request, you want us to share the link again, or you have a question about any of the resources we share, and I can be there reading the chat and trying to answer your questions or sharing whatever you are requesting. So you want to send me a private message or you send it to a Zoom chat, and I will be reading the chat so I can support you. Enjoy the rest of the session, the webinar. That's over to you, Mary.
Thanks. Okay, time for the community builder. So I want to invite you all to read these quotes here. And there's 5 beautiful quotes. I'm curious, which one resonates with you right now? Which one feels important to you? Could you tell us in the chat and tell us why? So which quote do you like and why? Or which one is meaningful to you right now and why? Which quotes do you like? Choose one that's resonating for you and tell us why. You don't have to write the whole quote out. You could just write the name of the person that said it or something about it. Kaylin writes she loves Neil Gaiman, right? The Gaiman. The one thing you have that nobody else has is you, your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write, draw, build and play and dance and live as only you can. And I think part of our jobs as English teachers is to lift our students up, to recognize how unique they are and how important their voice, their vision, their creativity is. So I really appreciate that too. Kaylin writes, it speaks to the everybody's uniqueness. Thanks, Kaylin. And Gisela also writes that you're unique and special. Yes. Henry, you tell us you like the Nita one. Education is about igniting young minds and enabling them to attain their fullest potential. I see a couple of people have liked that one too. Yeah, I think that's what our jobs are here, right? That's part of our job. Virginia writes that Frida was unique and special. You know, Virginia, she was. I had the opportunity to go to the museum, the Frida Kahlo Museum in Mexico, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. It was amazing. And this quote, feet, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? It was amazing because she had problems with her legs. So she was actually saying, I don't need these. I haven't, that's my challenge in life, but I'm okay because I can fly. And I think a lot of times we don't see how we can overcome these challenges that we have. So I love that one as well. And I see a number of you also wrote Frida. Camille likes number 1 because you're feeling energized. That's great. Leslie writes that she likes Malala. Even when the whole world is silent. Even when the whole world is silent. Even one voice is powerful. I'm gonna mute everybody and not give them a chance to unmute themselves, just to make sure that we don't have some of that noise that's coming in. If you need to say something, send us a message in chat. Also, we'll invite you to unmute when there's time to speak, but just to keep the noise down. So let's see. So Malala quote, one voice becomes very powerful. And Johanna, I love that we wrote, doing things differently has always been my favorite thing to do. The change starts with one single person. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And Johan writes to Emile Zola. We just love it. You came here to live out loud. You're beautiful. Thank you all so much. And thank you so much for participating. Painter writes, igniting young minds. It means to me that young people are those leading the countries of the world with fresh ideas, collaboration, teamwork, technology, among others. Caring with the youth is a must to the present. Yes, I'm going to vote for you, Heiner. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Ah, beautiful. All right. I feel sufficiently inspired. I hope you do too. I want to tell you about an overview of this webinar series here. We're going to have 6 webinars for you all this year, 2 that have a convocatorio, this one, and then the designing and inviting feedback dialogues to accompany students. That also has a convocatorio. This one right here, the July 26th, 27th, or 28th. So we'll hopefully see you for sure back then. We're also going to be doing next week, envisioning well-being as a practice in the English classroom. It's optional. The afternoon of the 27th or the evening of the 28th. Engaging in robust reflection to inform our lesson planning in July 18th or 19th. And then also we're going to have a
open.
Hold on. There we go. We're also going to have one on nourishing teacher well-being, and we'll send you the dates too. So I see some more comments coming in about living out loud. That's beautiful. Erika says life should not be monotonous. Absolutely. And the iPhone tells you, like the one from Malala, we're really powerful changers in our students' lives. You are. And I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're doing the work that you're doing. We have an overview of today. We're going to have a little video and share our thoughts. And then Camille is going to share some resources, a teacher toolkit and modules in Aprendo Pura Vida. Then I'm going to come back and share these about spoken production, spoken interaction. We're going to do a number of activities and look at a few things. And then we're going to finish up with any questions for inspiration. So that's our plan for today. For starters, I'd like to watch this video. And I would like you to share in the chat what comes to your mind and heart when you're watching this video of Costa Rican high school students. What comes to your mind and heart? Write it in the chat as you're watching.
Open, like to watch TV, or how many hours do you watch TV? Okay, so you complete the information. Okay, so you must talk with everybody here. Look for the person and ask the question, and then complete the information, what you have missing there. Okay, do you get that? Yes. Yes? Okay, so please, let's stand up and look for the people, find out the information.
Please stand up. Please stand
Hey, Yesa, come here. Hey.
Daniel. Where's Daniel? Daniel?
One. Actually, like 2 hours. And back to
Okay, sure. I see people talking about how interactions everywhere. Camila's impressed they're staying in the target language. And Virginia writes about that. Person the iPhone says they seem to be motivated to complete the task. Mailun writes about interaction, communication, friendly environment. Virginia likes it. Sandra Aguilar says everyone's participating, they're learning in community. Brian writes, it makes me think about how engaged the students are in the lesson. Mityana says it's an information gap activity, which is useful to reinforce speaking. Absolutely. This was a spoken interaction task. Nice working environment. Students are motivated. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Okay. Happy students are not afraid of making mistakes. Yeah. So I have a question for you.
Open.
What challenges do we face when we're designing and implementing spoken production and spoken interaction tasks in our classroom? Some of the challenges that you face to get students to do this. I'm always writing in, yeah, so Virginia writes it, nervousness from the students. Students are afraid, the demotivation, group interaction, student attitude. We wonder if the activity is according to their need. Luis writes, it's important to engage students in the same goal to achieve. The better we teach our children, the better world we'll have. Yes. Participation, motivation, and nervousness are challenging. Jorge writes low vocabulary, lack of motivation. Karina writes they're shy. Diego writes they don't want to participate. Fear of participation, lack of motivation. Do you see how you're not alone? Do you see how you're not alone? Do you see these challenges are getting repeated over and over again? So you're not alone on these challenges. And in today's webinar, I'm not going to give you any magic pill or magic potion to really change all of this. But I'm hoping that I'll give you some activities that might give you a little bit of insight into some things you can do to work with these challenges. All right, that's my hope. So here I see also some too many students in the class. Challenges, students aren't interested, yeah. So those are some things that I think that we can, we need to recognize you're not alone. It's common to everyone. And there are some things that we can do. So the first set of offerings that I want to give to you today is introduce you to Camille Campbell, who's been making some incredible resources for us. So Camille, would you like to unmute and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I already gave you a little bit of an introduction, but this slide just tells you a little bit more about myself. Like you guys, I'm an educator and have been a classroom teacher for more than 30 years. So the first part of my career, I was an ESL teacher in the United States and abroad. And then for the past 17 years, I've been a Spanish as a second language teacher. So like you know what it's like to try and get the students to use the target language in the classroom. I'm from the state of Wisconsin in the United States, which is up in the north. It's very close. I'm 3 hours from Chicago, Illinois. You can see some of my favorite things to do involve nature. So for me, being here in Costa Rica has been it's been blissful. And in the middle, you can see my new friends and colleagues at the Ministry of Education. And down there on the bottom, you can also see where my life has been dedicated to for the past 27 years, which is being part of the lives of those 3 amazing and beautiful children. So that's a little bit about me personally. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I would like to share with you guys some of, I think, the kind of exciting new developments we have for you guys to help you as you're helping your students with English. So this first resource is a teacher toolkit for English oral production. And just like it says, a toolkit, the idea is to give you guys like things you can grab onto, like in your back pocket, some ideas, some creative ideas, either to when you're not feeling super creative or when you want to try something new, but you don't know what it is. This hopefully be one place that you can go to just kind of look up and discuss in your planning teams some of the ideas that we've written down for you here. So I'm just going to go through the toolkit with you briefly. First page is a welcome. And then here on page number 3, we focused on a definition because the language sometimes gets confusing. What is spoken production and how is it the same or different than spoken interaction? So in the middle, we have the definition of spoken production. The granule of it is, the base of it is that the content has been practiced and polished. So it's something the students have done drafts on, they've done speaking practice with, and it should be quite clean production. Spoken interaction, on the other hand, always includes more than one speaker, and it always must include at least one unplanned, though it's predictable for the students, variable. So this is when we're going to be doing our dialogues and scenarios, our real life type of things. On the next page, on page 4, we have created a task. And we've shown how that particular task might look as a spoken production and then as a spoken interaction activity. We've explained it a little bit, give some ideas about how to help prepare your students. And then here's a variant idea of how students could present. So instead of one student speaking to the whole classroom, this one has groups of students, maybe 6 groups of 5 students, and you have one student presenting to their small group, and then they will circulate, and you as the teacher are listening, monitoring, and evaluating. And then this is the same task, but as a spoken interaction. And we've talked a little bit here about how to prepare students for that spoken interaction technique. So lots of words. You guys can read through that in your free time. On page number 5, we've given you a list of useful conversation phrases. These are starting, ending, agreeing, disagreeing. Students, to keep them in the target language, they need to have the tools for keeping conversations going. They need to know like what phrases to use. You can pre-teach these. You can do just-in-time teaching. So sometimes after one round of practice, I will pause and then I'll say, okay, how was that? Like, what language did you guys need to keep it in Spanish or in English? What phrases did you use? And at the beginning of the year, I have my students grab a blank piece of notebook paper and we title it Useful Phrases. And we just build that throughout the year because the phrases you're going to use for conversations are different than the phrases you'll need for discussions or debates. And then when we do an activity, you know, I say, grab that phrase paper out. I want to see that on your desk. I want to see you using that until they're able to pull away from it, until they've got those phrases memorized. Page number 6 just has a list of different teaching techniques to promote spoken production. So of course, like number 4 is a presentation, but we don't always want to do presentations. It's not motivational, and it doesn't give the whole variety of tasks that students could do for spoken production. You might want them to do a public service announcement, for example. So this gives a lot of different ideas, and don't feel like you have to go do all 11, but maybe the next time you're with your team and you're planning a unit, maybe you decide you want to do a debate or something. Maybe the topic lends itself well to a debate. And on the next page 7 are various techniques for spoken interaction. And I did here information gap activity, and I'm sure you use many of these. But when I'm planning my units and planning my lessons, I'm sort of like, okay, let's see. We've done some info gap activities. We've done some language games. Maybe this would be a good time to put in a reflective discussion. So ideas here, just as you're planning, to keep you interested and motivated, to keep them motivated and engaged. The final page of the toolkit is e-learning tools for the classroom that are free. These are all hyperlinked, so you can go straight to that website and make an account and begin working and begin looking. E-learning can be intimidating. It can be difficult to access, but don't feel like you have to be, you know, just totally involved and all the time your kids are plugged in. That isn't a good use of anybody's time either, but maybe challenge yourself to learn one new of these tools this year or 2 and see how it goes. Also, I really want you guys to know that you don't have to feel responsible to create a ton of curriculum on these sites. Teachers have been using these sites for a long time. Teachers love to share. We love to collaborate. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, we say. Go out and look for something. Maybe your topic is, I don't know, going shopping. I can guarantee you there's tons of resources and games for going food shopping or going clothes shoppings or whatever it might be. So take advantage of all of the people who have already been working and who have some great ideas out there. If you haven't used Lyrics Training, one of my favorite websites. So Lyrics Training is an interactive platform where kids listen to songs and part of the lyrics is like blocked out. So I use this as the teacher. I'll play a song. It might be either on the same topic we're studying or the grammar topic or vocabulary, and then have my students shout out the correct answers. They love it. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, so I could go on and on with a lot of these websites. But that's just a brief introduction for you guys to the toolkit. The second resource I want to share with you is my major project here this year, which has been working with Aprendo Pura Vida. Hang on, let me close some of these things here. I think that's better. All right, so my major project here this year was to build online learning modules that complement your new English curriculum to extend and support the classroom learning. So when I came first, I learned about Aprendo Pura Vida, and then I started studying your curriculum. I started with grade 10, grade 11, and working now on grade 9. We actually have 4 units live, which are uploaded, and that's quite exciting. So anyone can log into these units, and I encourage you guys to go ahead and see what's out there, see what they're like, and see what you can take and use in your classrooms. So the one I'm showing you right now is grade 10, unit 2, and it's about stories. Stories come in all shapes and sizing. So stories are, variety. It's not just reading a book. This is the menu bar that you scroll down on the left side. One note is that if you're assigning this for your students, they have to work through it in order. They can't just jump in and do activity number 3, for example. So they'll have to have all of these green checks before they can go through. But you can maybe do the unit and then you can grab an activity to use in the classroom. So when I'm planning these activities, I start out by looking at your learning indicators, like what do we want our students to learn and do? And then I look at your units, and I look at all the vocabulary, the structure, the functions, your 4 themes, and then the units are built with all of that in mind. So let's take a look, see what it's like. So let's take a look at activity 1. All right, so this is a reading activity, reading a meme, understanding it, highly motivational, because it's a game show. So they see the meme, they read it, they have 1 minute to answer, they can double the score, they can do a 50-50, they can ask for extra time. A mind stretched by new experiences can never go back to its own dimensions means, I think it means when we learn, we grow. Yay! So second activity is an audio activity. There's lots of listening. There's lots of videos. There's also reading activities, writing activities, grammar structure activities, pronunciation activities, vocabulary building activities. The only ones I really couldn't include because of the format is speaking activities. So let's see what Robin's story sounds like. Okay, so she goes on to tell a story of the 4th of July when there's a competition that they take a watermelon and they put oil on the watermelon and throw it in the pool. And then all the young people dive in and whoever can raise it to the top is the winner. What they find out is no one can do it by themselves, takes teamwork, takes collaboration, etc. So after they've done that listening activity, then they're going to have some questions to answer. They're asked about the main idea. And this is when we are more successful, when we collaborate. What's the speaker's purpose? Narration, description, persuasion. This one is narration. So that's where I'm looking at your learning indicators, main idea, vocabulary development, specific details, etc. So there's about 20 activities in each unit. How to write a movie review, describing a movie, reading movie reviews. The grammar in this particular unit is with reported speech. So I've given a few examples, and then I give them this infographic, I think is a really nice resource. And so I told them, go ahead and download that resource, put it into your electronic English folder, and begin to grow these resources so they will be there for you. We do lots of some activities with reported speech. Some of them are very traditional grammar activities like this one. So they'll read, I like cake, transfer to reported speech. Leo said he liked cake. Everything in Aprendo Pura Vida is self-graded, self-guided learning, so they can check their answers, try again, or see the answers if they are getting stuck. A fun grammar related activity is this one, where they see a famous movie quote and then report it. So just look at one of those. Ah, Leo, he was so young, which is correct. Jack said that he, and then they report it, was, but they can also rewatch. Some of them get a little bit more complicated, and then it is self-scored for them. So as we look through book review, pronunciation practices, videos, watching a video book review, and then the summary unit activity is always a writing. It's a production activity. So in this unit, we've been talking about storytelling, reviews, book reviews, etc. And their task here is to describe and write about their favorite film. So they have a task here that they read, sets the situation for them. They will do their writing here. And in the instructions, I've given them an editing checklist so they know exactly what they're supposed to include. And it guides them to go back and check. Do you have a topic sentence? Did you use describing words, for example? Are there linking words? How's the punctuation, the spelling, etc.? And when they are finally satisfied with their writing, they check here. And then AI, this is scored with AI, and it will give them feedback. And it will say, your writing is at an A2. And then here are some ideas that you can do to improve it. If they're motivated, they can go back and rewrite it and check it again. But it's just a really, really nice tool to give them some feedback on their production. Okay, so that's a little bit about what those units look like in Aprendo Pura Vida Learning Passport. More to come. More will be uploaded as we all get them ready to go, but I hope you find them useful for yourselves and for your students.
Thank you so much, Camille. So exciting to see. And there's a lot of positive feedback in the chat around it and people enjoying it. There is one question in the chat. If you're not a MEP teacher, how can you see the material? And we are looking into that. We don't know right now, just so you know. All right. Yvonne also just shared a bunch of resources that are amazing for you all that are available. And I'm not sure if Marianela or Andrea would like to add anything or say anything either about the resources that Camille shared or about the resources that Yvonne just shared in the chat.
Yes, Mary. Something important that teachers need to know is that we are offering also Aprendizap. I don't know if they have the chance to see it. Okay, yeah, it has like templates. So with keywords, so if you're teaching unit 1, so you can use the scenario keyword or any, for example, you're teaching daily routines. So you can include that, that keyword in Aprendizap, and it will show, okay, once you click on that, it will have lots of activities, but many activities like audios, readings, pictures, whatever you need to teach that topic specifically or that scenario. We are also offering in the chat, We Learn. It is important for you to access to that app. That's an app, and it is related to 10th grade. It will have as well grammar practices, listening, reading, and many games, so students can practice the grammar and reinforce the B1 level using that app as well. So those are some resources. We also have resources for 8th grade and 7th grade, and they are apps. So you can surf El Capico and try to find the English resources. There are many, guys. So try to take some time and go and see what we offer.
Okay. There's some gratitude here in the chat for you, Nella, and for you, Camille.
Thank you.
There's
You're
again
welcome.
this question. Yeah. This question of how can we access if we don't work for MEP? There's either 4 Catholic nonprofit schools recognized by MEP.
Wow, that's a problem. That's a limitation that we have. That it's only for this is only for MEP students and MEP teachers. We are gonna try to find a way to open this to the rest of the public, but so far it is only for them. I'm sorry that you cannot access to that resource. I think we learn, and the others, I think she can access to that, but Aprendo Pura Vida, maybe that one is that she cannot access to. Sorry about that.
I'm feeling your pain, Isabel. I would love to as well, and I can't because I'm not a MEP teacher.
Yes,
For students, maybe I'll have to enroll as a student. Maybe, can I go back to high school?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Marianela. All right, we're going to go back. Now we have a very important task to do right now. I'm going to share screen. And this important task is that it is time to stretch. So we have a perfect moment here to look away from the computer. Turn your head, stretch your neck. Looking down the lip today, I can feel it. If you need some support knowing what to do, you can watch this lovely lizard. That works too. If you don't like lizards, don't look at the screen. All right, sure you stretch. Beautiful. So now I am curious. We're going to move into the oral production part of the session. When you think about what you're hoping to do for your student, what verbs do you use? Are you hoping to motivate them, inspire them? Write in the chat. What verbs do you use when we think about what you're hoping to do for your students? Guide, manage. What do you use? Sylvia writes motivate. Yeah, lots of motivation. But today I want to invite you to consider igniting. I want to ignite my students' oral production. Like I'm the match right down here. And get the match here, that's me. And then either my students are many, many candles like that, or this picture I actually took in Samara about 6 weeks ago. This is a fire show at the beach in Samara. It was beautiful. And I was seeing all these little sparks of fire flying off. Like, what if my students were like that? What if they just became sparking off of them when we ignite it? Something to think of. We're going to start out by looking at spoken production activities. And as Camille said, this spoken production is when the content has been practiced and polished. For examples, narratives, descriptions, debates, public service announcement, or like a radio show or a TV show. When we practice what we're going to say, and we try to say it to the best of our ability, the best we can. So the generative questions that I have is, how can we set our students up for successful speaking? And what can the students do to internally explore their own production? Because so often in spoken production, they're given something and they just read it. And there's not a lot of interaction and reflection. They just like read it and get it done. So I have 4 activities for us today so that we can pull our students through this process. MEP has asked us to do this sequence of tasks to set our students up for success. The students, let's say, so we're going to do a spoken production task. The students investigate the topic. Then they organize their ideas and create their sentences, whatever they're going to say. Then they practice 3 different kinds of practice. They practicing their own self-correction. And that's something that is something that we can practice and develop, our ability to both self-correct and also our ability to take the effort and the time to slow down and do some self-work. We also need to practice reformulating our ideas, compensating, monitoring, repairing. All those things take practice. And we need to practice our things. So, investigate, organize, practice. I'm going to show you this. Well, sorry. And in this sequence, the other thing I wanted to highlight is, what's the teacher's role? What are we supposed to do as teachers? And we need to give students linguistic resources and content resources. Camille writes in the chat, which fits in very nicely, is that we need to model the desired results too. We need to model the investigation. We need to train students how to organize their ideas and show them models of well-organized ideas. Train students how to monitor themselves, train them how to compensate and adjust language, and train them how to practice their fluency. And so we're going to be doing a little of that today in these 4 different activities. Okay. So what I like to focus on is awareness, attention, autonomy. And what are they aware of? Then where are they placing their attention? Are they self-driven? Do they have the power to dive in and do this themselves? Are they taking that? And finally, are they having fun? I think having fun makes a huge difference in that. The first activity I want to share with you is something I really have a lot of fun with. It's experimenting with closed captions. And I'm wondering if any of you all have done this. So this is using AI. I'm using Google Slides here today. So you can use PowerPoint, you can use Google Slides. There's other things out there to create closed captions. What I'm going to do is go down here. When I move my cursor down to the right, you can see here that it opens up this white oval, and we can see the number of the slide and the 2 little arrows, the flechitas, and 3 dots. I'm going to click on the 3 dots, and I'm going to go to caption preference, and I'm going to turn on toggle caption. And look what happens. This is the challenge. Is it working now? Oh, good. Thank you. I don't know if it was, sometimes my phone connects its microphone to the computer, technology. So can you see here that AI is now, yes, exactly, Virginia, right? Wow. Right? AI is now listening to what I say and writing what it understands from what I say. This is not about perfection, because you can see, and even if I'm a native speaker, it's never going to be perfect. And I will be sometimes saying things that maybe don't come up or get picked up in the way that AI is. But it's really an interesting way to see if what I'm saying can be understood by AI and understood here. So yeah. So to repeat the process, to turn this on, you go down to the white oval on the bottom left of the slide, click on the 3 dots, go up to caption preferences and turn on toggle captions. That would turn them off. Now I'm going to do it again and turn them on. So let's see if this works. Yes, it works. So I'm curious if anybody would like to try this. Would you like to unmute and try? You could raise your hand and we could help you unmute. Would you like to try and say something? You see here, I said unmute, but it said muse. So that's interesting too. Anybody want to try something? Okay, Camille, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the speed that I speak at, like if I talk really fast, will it be able to pick up as much as or should I talk more slowly? But it picked up pretty well, right? So sometimes we talk to students and when they're reading, they're just reading and they're going really fast. So I was just curious about if the speed would affect. That's all.
Yeah, thanks. Kaylin, it does work from cell phones too. You can find closed caption programs for sure. Do you want to try it, Kaylin? Are you on a cell phone? If you want to unmute, let us know. All right, there you go. I just invited you to unmute, Kaylin.
Okay, so I only have to speak, or do I need to touch anything?
You just speak. Look at it's working.
Okay. Okay, now that is nice to know. And see if we're gonna work with my students. and see how can I use this tool.
Kaylin, where are you calling in from? Where are you joining us from?
Okay, I am joining you from Limon. Actually, I work at a high school. I don't know if you have heard about it. Colegio Limón Diurno. So I
Someday or no. You
actually
see,
there.
AI doesn't know the name of your hotel. I mean, your high school.
Okay. So nice to be here in the workshop.
Thanks,
And I
Kaylin.
can
We
see.
appreciate it.
Okay.
I called you. I said Kaylin, and you said and Olakahan. So there's words that it doesn't know very well, right? Would anybody else like to unmute and try? Could raise your hand. All right, Karina, go ahead. Let's see. Can you raise your? Let's see. I found you. There we go.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Karina. Go ahead. Say something exciting.
I'm from San Carlos, and I am very happy to know about this tool that is going to be, I think it's going to be very nice for the students. Maybe they will feel like less shy or something because they don't want to participate in the oral interaction, but I think that with this kind of tool they will.
Oh,
Thanks.
nice. Thank you, Karina. Yeah, exactly. I think this kind of tool, if they don't do it in front of the whole class, right? I mean, I think you and Kaylin are very brave. You're doing it sort of on this webinar in a public way. But if we have them do it in ways that are in smaller groups, I think it could be a lot of fun. And I think it will create the conditions for them to explore their own pronunciation in relationship with AI. So thank you so much. All right. And Yvonne keeps putting in the attendance form in there, which just to remind you all, we need that attendance form filled out, please. And also Yvonne put in the chat another app for closed captions called Dictation. So it's another option. So thanks, Yvonne, for that. All right, let's move on to the next activity. I'm going to put my headphones back in. Let's see. My headphones help me keep out the background noise in my context where I am right now. Let's see. Oh, and it's still working. Good. So this next activity is called Short Video Rewind times 100. And this is an activity that I used when I wanted to learn how to speak English with an Indian accent many years ago, back in the early 80s. I was watching the movie Gandhi and I started doing this. So I chose a piece of, so my investigation was around Gandhi, and I chose lines that Gandhi said, and I would watch it, and then I would say it, and then I would rewind it and listen again, or watch again, and then say it, and I would be testing my own, I would be using this to help figure out my own pronunciation. I'm going to ask for the link for the first AI dictation. That's Google Slides. It's just Google Slides. It's not an app. It's just something that you do in Google Slides. Let's see. That all you do is you go down here on Google Slides to this white oval at the bottom, click on the three dots, and then go to caption preferences, toggle on or toggle off. You're welcome, Alvaro. I'm so glad you got it. It's such a fun thing to do. It really is. It's a really cool activity and it's free. It's free. Of course I think you need an internet connection for it to really work, but it's fantastic. So this next activity too, this short video rewind times 100 is there's a lot of power in it to try and get students to listen to themselves speak and do this self-monitoring, self-correction using a model that's on a video. sometimes I'll do this where I'm the video, like if I don't have a video, I'll do it in the classroom. I'll put text on the board and I become a computer. And I just say, I ask the students tell me what they want me to read and I read it and they work on their own pronunciation. So many times our students are trained to look to the teacher to always do the correction. But if we get them to practice their own listening and discerning, they can do so much. So like I said, I really wanted to learn how to speak English with Indian accent. So I watched this and I watched over and over and watched the movie Gandhi to try and learn to speak like Gandhi. I thought he was very, very intelligent and I wanted to sound intelligent. That's a little bit of what I learned. But I want to try this with you all. We're going to try this with this video called,
I think we all need a pep talk.
we're going to try this with Kid President. I don't know if you've seen him. This is actually an old video. It's 10 years old, but it's a sweet one. And for this one, actually, I want to invite Yvonne. Do you mind being our victim, Yvonne? And our volunteer, I mean. Oops. And I'm going to invite you to read the text. The text is here on the left. And then we're going to listen to Kid President.
All right. So I think that we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring. But you are better than that. Life is not a game, people. Life is not a serial. Well, it is a serial. And if life is a game, aren't we all on the same team? I'm on your team. Be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got a heartbeat. That means it's time to do something.
Thanks, Yvonne. Thanks for that. Now, I also hope that you all are reading it out loud too, and you get a sense of this. We're going to listen to Kid President say this now and get a sense of what he says.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we all on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team. Be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something.
Yeah, so now, Yvonne, can you just read the first, let's say, choose the first two. Yvonne, please choose the first two lines. Or first three lines. Just read those first three now. Let's work on those three.
Can I read it as a Kid's President?
Yeah.
All right. I think you all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah. There we go. I think we all need pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring.
Here we go again. I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you.
Okay, Yvonne, now I'm curious, what were you working on? What pieces were you working on when you were listening to Kid President talk, and then you were speaking? What were you working on? Where was your attention focused?
Yeah, my attention was on pauses when he makes pauses and goes up and down, like raises his voice. We all need a pep talk, like up and down and pauses. Especially, yeah, you. And also body language. I think it's communicating. Yeah, you, like pointing with the head. That was interesting to see this time.
Thank you so much. And I see some comments here in the top. I see Virginia's talking about intonation and Maria Jesus Rhythm intonation. Gisela, I'm talking to you. Karina says, it's pretty difficult to talk like this cute boy. It is. It takes practice, Karina. It just takes practice, right? And that's why I say rewind times 100. I'm curious, would anybody else like to try? Would anybody else like to unmute and try just the first couple lines? Let us know and we can unmute you. It'd be really nice to see. I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being bored. Yeah, you, right? I think this is a great strategy. I mean, the idea is that the students become curious themselves about their own pronunciation and about what they're hearing. So they're paying attention to both places. I'm curious, what do you think about this activity? Probably because it's nice. Kaylin says, it reminds you of when your students are singing English songs. Yeah, it's similar, absolutely. And Alvaro writes, it works with all ages and all levels. It absolutely does. So if you all of a sudden have 10 minutes of class and you don't know what to do, although I know you all have a lot of things to do, it's a great activity for any age. I see people about breaking ice and developing confidence, interesting and fun. Yeah, students improve confidence and they can practice all the time they need to. Exactly what they need. It's exactly it. Great. All right, we're going to move on to the next
I think we
activity.
all need a pep talk.
This activity is designed to help our students learn how to stop. Like when we're doing oral production, like let's say they're going to give a speech, they come in and they put the paper up and they read their paper, right? We want to stop that. We want them to look at their audience, look at the view, but sometimes it's a big jump to go from just reading and to really looking. So this activity is called Read Silently, Look Up and Speak. The idea here is that you're allowed to read as much as you want, and you can read as little as you want. But you can't speak when you're reading. You have to be quiet. So this activity you might feel like a little stilted, a little awkward, but it's really okay. Those silent parts when they're reading is really okay. So I want to show this to you, and then I want to see if one of you would be willing to try it. So we can see, and I also see some more messages coming in the chat about the previous activity. That's great. Develops fluency, practices rhythm. Jose says it looks like a fun activity to practice language, and Vivek says they can practice and practice. Yeah, glad you did something similar. Exactly. That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to do this two ways. I want you to notice my eyes right now. Can you see that I'm looking at the camera? We're going to do this activity. Read silently, look up and speak. And for this, can you see that I am looking, so let me take my glasses off. Can you see that I'm looking at the camera right now? Can you see that? Just let me know in chat if you can see that. I'm looking at the camera. Okay, great. I had to look down at the chat to read. Now, can you see that I'm not looking at the camera? You see that I'm reading, I'm looking down at, I'm actually looking at my screen. And now I'm looking at the camera. See that? So if I'm going to give you a speech, I need to be looking at you at the camera, right? Or looking at my audience, not reading. So let me show you. I've got a tongue twister. I just put the tongue twister up because I think tongue twisters are fun. I also put that tongue twister up because I happen to know it very well, even though I know a different version of it. So I want to show you what this looks like. Reading silently. So when I'm reading, I cannot look, I cannot speak. I read, and then I look up and speak. Betty bought some butter. It's not this. Don't do this. Don't do Betty bought some butter. Right? You can see I'm reading. I'm reading at the same time I'm speaking. I want you to read silently, speaking by looking at the camera. So it's Betty bought some butter. But she said the butter's bitter. Now I just cheated for a minute. I'm sorry. It's very hard to not cheat. I actually looked down quickly to confirm, and I don't really want you to do that either. I want you to practice when your eyes look down to stop talking. So I'm going to do that line again. But she said, the butter's bitter. So you don't have to read the whole line. You can read parts of it. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. but a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So 'twas better. Betty bought a bit of better butter. So can you see that when I'm reading, I'm quiet. When I'm looking, I speak. I'm wondering if any of you all would be willing to turn on your camera and try this out with me. We've tried it in the other webinars and it's been interesting. It's not our instinct. And that's why I'd love for somebody to be willing to try it. And if you are, tell me in the chat that you're willing to try it. And I will unmute you. Anybody go to try? Galaxy S9, thank you so much. We find you and unmute you, the Alejandra. Sure, I can speak louder. Would you like to try the reading, trying this read silently, look up and speak, Sonia?
Okay, I'm going to try.
Okay. Remember,
Butter.
when you're reading, you're not allowed to speak. So if you're
Okay.
looking at the words, don't speak. Only look at the camera when
Silent.
you're speaking.
Okay. Done.
Well, what the idea is you read silently, but then you look up and speak. So you read a little and then you look up and speak. So you read one line or half a line and then you speak it. Then you go back and read some more and then you speak.
Betty butter bought some butter. But she said the butter's bitter. If I put in it my butter, I will make it my butter bitter.
Sonia, I want to check in with you. It feels to me like you're reading and speaking at the same time.
So I can see the
So I want you to read read a little bit and speak. Then read another little bit and then speak. So when you're reading, you don't say anything. When you're speaking, you look up and look at the camera.
So, Betty butter, like this, without see the, okay, bought some butter. But she said the butter is bitter. If I put it in my butter, if it will make me butter bitter. But a bit butter will make my butter better. So that is correct. Was better Betty butter? Bought a big bowl of better butter.
Yes. How was that for you, Sonia?
It's complicated. So because you have the custom to read, and so when I have to explain something is different because so I memorize and I try to speak without see any kind of paper or presentation.
Right.
But in this case, the tongue twisters is difficult.
Right. That's
So
part of the reason I chose it.
I did a practice with my students. They enjoy it because so it's funny, but it's complicated.
Yeah. Well, the idea is if we keep practicing this way, then we will become better at not only memorizing, but also better at speaking to our audience as opposed to reading from a paper.
So I'm planning to do a competence in my with tongue twister to put in practice, because I think it's a good way to learn.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, Sonia.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more activity for our oral production. It is transforming dialogues. And I need somebody to volunteer to do dialogues with me. Is there somebody else that's willing to do dialogues with me? Henry, why don't you be A and I'll be B? This is just a plain, boring dialogue, all right? All right, Henry, you're A, I'm B. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Great. It's been a long time. What have been up to?
I've been working a lot.
Me too. I have to go. Hey, let's talk soon.
Great, I'll call you. Boring, right? But typical. Typical. Let's transform it. Let's pretend that, oh, okay, that was supposed to. Now let's pretend that we're good friends who haven't seen each other in a long time.
Okay.
You want to be A, you be A. You can be A, you can start.
Start.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Great. It's been a long time.
Me
What
too.
have you been up to?
I've been working a lot.
Me too. I have to go. Hey, let's talk soon.
Great, I'll call you. Hey, Marilyn, can you speak now?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, awesome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so Marilyn, why don't you be B next time? So one more transformation. So
Okay.
Henry, you're A, and Marilyn, you're B. Now you're two people that don't like each other.
We don't know.
Try it. You're two people that don't like each other.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Great. It's been a long time. What have you been up to?
I have been working a lot.
Me too. I have to go. Hey, let's talk soon.
Great. I call you.
That was good.
No
Thanks.
emotion.
No emotion. I don't like you.
No.
Okay, one
No
more
emotion.
transformation. No
No
emotion, right?
emotion.
One more transformation. Try now you're good friends at a rock concert, right? Loud music is all around you, but you're a really good friend. Okay, try it. Try it out.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Great. It's been a long time. What have you been up to?
I have been working a lot.
Me too. I have to go. Hey, let's talk soon.
Great. I'll call you back.
Thank you, Henry and Marilyn. That was awesome. That was awesome. So the idea in this kind of oral production is to transform whatever they're saying with emotion or context, right? So what Luis writes, that's what I mean, right? Feeling it, expressing it, acting it. Yeah. Oh, Kaylin, I wish we had more time for you to try it too. I hope you can try it with your students. Marilyn says it's nice. Kimberly gave us 100. So those are some activities for oral production, spoken production, right? When we're trying to polish our language, things that we can do to polish our language. So I'm curious what you all think about this. What do you think about them? Could you use it with your students? How might you adapt them? This is experimenting with closed captions. Short video rewind times 100. Read, look, speak up, and transforming boring dialogues. Oh, Suli, I'm glad you were practicing with your coworker. That's awesome. Yeah. What do you think about these activities for oral spoken production? Oral production, spoken production. Which of the four is your favorite? Virginia writes, I think simple activities are great too. Yeah, it's good to have simple activities. Karina says the last one's your fave. It's funny. Marilyn likes the dialogue. Penny likes number 4. Hannah Torres likes number 3. The read, look up and speak. Transforming dialogues. All right. I'm so glad. I'm glad. Let's move on. We're going to do 3 activities for spoken interaction today. 3 for spoken interaction. But before we do that, we need a little stretch break. So look away from your computer, stretch your head, close your eyes, open your eyes. Please make sure. Thank you, Henry, for stretching. Shireen, I see you stretching too. That's great. All right. Good. Good, good, good. All right, spoken interaction. Let's move into spoken interaction. Luis Antonio Castro Vares, I think I know you. I always tell my students not to be ordinary, but extraordinary. So showing emotion is a great way to do that. Absolutely, Luis, absolutely. Oh, you're from my town. That's so fun. I feel so proud to have a teacher. I live in a little village of 500 people. So it's really nice when somebody from our village becomes an English teacher. Okay. And I'm glad you use that strategy all the time. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so spoken interaction. Spoken interaction always includes more than one speaker and at least one unplanned variable. Something maybe predictable, but unplanned that they have to. It's practiced, but not polished. So, and Alejandro talks about liking the last set of activities because students forget about shyness. That's my goal. I want them to develop confidence, right? And let's see, Heine writes that he likes them because there are moments when students present low energy and activities like these help energize them, right? With their minds and humor and they're fun. So yeah. So now let's look at how can we get our students to build confidence in spoken interaction and how can we use a performance scale and rubric to assess this? So we're going to dive into this. You know, with spoken interaction, there's lots of different activities we can use. We can use conversation and discussion, both formal and informal, goal-oriented interactions, something where we're trying to get some goods and services or exchange information, interviews, all of these, and especially also the online now. We need to think about our online spoken interaction because that is part of our lives right now, right? That's a big part of our lives. We also need to take into account which scale we're using for spoken interaction. Is it interpersonal? Is it evaluative? Or is it transactional? So there's a lot of great information out there. We're going to share some resources with you if you want to go deeper into this. We've got some resources that will help you go deeper into understanding these. Right now, I want to show you 3 activities, even though it says 4, I'm going to show you 3 that are some fun activities for spoken interaction. The first one is called it's about personal questions, and it's called a rainstorm of questions. In this activity, one person sits in the hot seat, and everybody else in the group asks questions for 1 minute. They keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. The person in the hot seat does not answer. After 1 minute of questions, the rainstorm of questions, the person in the hot seat gets to choose what they want to answer. They don't have to answer all the questions. They only answer what they want to answer. So I'm going to show you 2 little videos here. One is the whole class modeling the activity. I'm the person in the hot seat in this first video. And the people playing with me are not students, they're teachers actually in the Dominican Republic. So you'll see how I did this activity with a larger group. And yes, they were teachers, but I think you'll get a sense of it and it's kind of fun. So.
Okay, are you ready, guys? Yes. Yes. Starting now. Good.
Okay. How are you? How old are you?
Are you married?
Are you married? Okay.
Do you have children? Are you married? Do you like Dominican Republic?
Do you like teaching? Are you Christian? Do you like teaching adults or children? How many sisters?
What plane do you like to visit?
Are you from Germany?
How do you taste mofongo? What do you like?
Have you ever gone to Puerto Plata?
Do you like to mambo?
What's your favorite name?
Do you like to dance? Do you like to dance? What is your favorite color?
What music do you like?
When is Ventura coming to visit me?
What was your most special moment in your life? Wow. What's the craziest thing you've ever done in your life? Have you ever eaten chicharrón? Have you ever eaten chicharrón? Oh my God.
Have you ever been in another workshop like this?
Time is over. Okay, very good. Mary, are you ready, Mary? Are you sure?
I hope.
You hope. How do you know you're ready, Mary?
Well, because you're going to say I'm ready.
Okay, very good. Starting now.
Okay, wow, great questions. My most special moment in my life was getting married. It was the best. It was awesome. It was awesome. I loved getting married. I got married. We had 3 ceremonies. 1 man, 3 ceremonies.
The same?
100 honeymoons. Yeah, but we got married in Japan, the United States, and Costa Rica.
Oh my goodness.
So that was an example of giving instructions and modeling with a whole class. Now, I'm going to show you example of the small group work. And just so you can see how, even though I know this classroom is bigger than what you have, and I know that your students are a little different, but I think this activity is so helpful, and you can do it with so many different kinds of content. So I just want you to see what it looks like with a small group.
How many years do you have teaching?
Are your parents alive?
Do you like snacks? Your favorite game?
Do you like eating sancocho? Do you celebrate your birthday?
Do you like to dance bachata? What's your wife's name?
What are your children's
Time is over.
So that is the example of a rainstorm of questions. I'm curious what you think about that. Hey, Glenn says, great activity. I'll keep in mind to put practice with my students. Great. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It's a really fun way to get students talking. Any questions about rainstorm of questions or comments? Okay, we're going to go on to the next activity, which is a gallery walk interview practice. And again, I'm going to show you a little video for this. And this is also a nice way to get students to have spoken interaction in a very safe way. So what you do is you prepare some material and you put it around the room like you're in an art gallery. But what you put up is the topic they're going to talk about, maybe some questions, or maybe the students create that and then put it up around the room. Then they, in pairs, they walk around the room and they talk about what's at the poster until they're told to move. I have this nice little video. It's a slightly different context, but it's the same idea. I thought it would give us a nice visual for understanding the gallery walk.
A great way to get your students thinking on their feet is by using a strategy called a gallery walk. Instead of sitting at their desks and answering questions or falling asleep during a lecture, students visit exhibits that help them answer questions in small groups. This strategy is student-centered rather than lecture-based and gives your students the opportunity to interact with the content. And all you'll need to set up your gallery walk is assigned groups and your walls. Here's an example of a gallery walk that introduces the Greek myth Arachne in a middle school literature class. You can modify the gallery walk for various subjects and grade levels. In this case, the teacher has tasked her students with answering the essential question, how does the story of Arachne explain Greek views of the natural world? To begin the activity, students move in small groups from station to station, responding to pieces of art, text, or graphics. At each exhibit, students explore the essential question using details from their observations, quietly discussing their ideas as they go. Students share their ideas on sticky notes and leave them for peers and other groups to read. After a set amount of time, the teacher directs students to move to the next exhibit. Students then respond to the new text in front of them, being sure not to repeat information that has already been shared on previous sticky notes. When the gallery walk is over, you can choose to have students answer the essential question in a short essay. Encourage the students to use their classmates' input from the sticky notes as supporting evidence of their ideas. Or, if you would prefer, have your students respond in a public speaking assignment. Students could present each exhibit in their small groups, synthesizing the sticky note responses and their own ideas to discuss how each exhibit relates to the essential question. The social, mobile aspect of the gallery walk makes this activity fun for your students. What could have been a dull essay assignment becomes a field trip in the comfort of your own classroom. And instead of preparing a lecture that your students may or may not listen to, you can sit back and watch your students teach each other. Now that's student-centered learning. case, the teacher has tasked.
So thanks, Mayloon. That's nice to know. And Alva, it's good to know too. Exactly. Students can learn their own place. They can also, she was describing using a gallery walk as a way for students to encounter new information, but you can do it to practice too, to do your spoken interactions, to do interviews. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Camille, thanks for adding in your ideas. Graffiti, blank sheets for question or topics, student draws, writes, and they circle. Great. Great. Yep. Okay. Now, the last activity I'm going to invite you to do, the last thing I'm going to invite you to do is I want to tell you about it, and then I'm going to invite you to go into breakout rooms and talk about it. So this activity is straight from the MEP curriculum, 7th grade, Enjoying Life. The assessment strategy, students ask and answer in a predictable pattern, simple questions about daily routines, eating habits, hobbies, and hanging out activities. And a little bit more of the task, you meet a friend online. He or she lives in a rural part of the country. You would both like to know more about each other's daily routines, eating habits, hobbies, etc. So what I'd like to do, this is, as you can see, it's a fluency activity where they're having a conversation. What I would like you to do is look at the oral performance scale and rubric. We're going to send this to you in chat, and you're also going to be able to see it here. What I'd like you to do is take a look at the rubric and think about using this rubric when your students are doing spoken interaction. This could be an assessment task, right? I just sent it to the chat if you'd like to see it. But what I did is I highlighted it because I find a lot of times these rubrics have lots of words on them and we need to write them with lots of words. But for me to really understand it and use it in the moment, I need to highlight and zoom in. So, for example, this first band here uses information questions. And then I highlighted the student fails to, cannot use memorized language. The 2 points, asks questions about some elements, and he partially contributes. And 3 points, activities appropriate with ease, consistently contributes. So I highlight what's going to help me in the moment when I am I highlight in the moment what's going to help me really pay attention to the students and their abilities. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to send you to breakout rooms. You have about 7 minutes. And in these breakout rooms, I would like you to talk about the rubric, right? What do you think about the rubric? Can you envision using it? And then also you can talk about anything that we covered today in the webinar. What do you want to talk about? We're going to have a little bit of time in breakout rooms. And then we're going to come back for some question and answers. So almost everybody is back. So we have a couple minutes left. I want to share with you some resources from this webinar. We do have, Yvonne's going to put in the chat both the attendance form and also the feedback. And also, so we have the webinar feedback, and then we also have a resource site. And I wanted to show this to you. This series of webinars, we have 3 for preschool, 2 for primary, which I know you all are high school. We've got 2 for high school, and then we've got 3 that are for all teachers. And you'll see each webinar has a resource page. It's coming soon or here. This is the one for this webinar. I click here. Great. So you'll see on this page that Yvonne is putting. Oh no, we got some no's. I see yes. No's and yeses. Now, Didier, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for letting me know. So this is where the resources are. You'll see all the slides. You can click through and look at any slide from the webinar. The videos are all there. Everything I shared, the attendance form. We will be putting up a recording from the webinar. And then all of the resources that we've shared with you in this webinar, you can come here and find them all. Yeah, I don't know what happened either, Leah, but we're back. So all of the resources, there's Aprendo por la Vida, resources for experimental bilingual high schools, a this video, just tons of stuff. Yvonne's going to paste the link there. Go ahead and paste it again, Yvonne. So this is free and it's up there for you. All of these resources are to help you think about how to teach oral production. how to ignite your students' oral production. So thank you all for coming. It's 3 o'clock. If you have any questions or comments, we have a couple minutes. We'll be happy to receive them. If you need to leave, you can leave. Thank you. We hope that you go have a really good rest of the school year. We hope we've got one more webinar just for you, and we've got 3 more webinars that for all teachers. Thank you so much for being here with us and getting today going. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Camille. And Marianela and Andrea, I think they had to leave. Thank you. Thank you for everyone.